Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I'd really appreciate your comment. It helps me understand if you enjoyed the story and how I can improve in future ones. I'm Oliver, 37, and the grill smoke at our neighbor's cookout hung over the yard. I took burger duty. She drifted from group to group in a sun hat, and that bright laugh she saves for other people. It was harmless until it wasn't. Someone joked about curfews in couples. She lifted her plastic cup and said, loud enough for the patio to hear, "You're not the boss of me. I'm free to do whatever I want." Heads turned. A few guys smirked. Her friends clapped as if it were a toast. That line wasn't new to me, just louder, with an audience attached. I set the tongs down, wiped my hands on a towel, and answered with the same voice I use in meetings when I don't plan to repeat myself. "What would change if I were your boss?" The silence lasted a beat. She tilted her chin and fired back, syrup sweet and sharp. "Then I'd finally have a reason to ignore your emails too." Laughter hit again, harder this time. I didn't blush or bark. I flipped the next row of patties and asked who wanted cheddar. There's a kind of laugh that lands in your chest. It doesn't sting, it sinks. You map who laughed, who looked away, who waited to see if I'd explode. I didn't. I let the room tell me the truth. She likes a stage, and I had just been drafted as her prop. I've been a lot of things in my life. A prop isn't one of them. She brushed past me on the way to the cooler, slipped a hand on a coworker's forearm, kept the performance rolling. The words kept circling the yard long after the punchline died. Not the boss of me. Free to do whatever I want. I salted another pan and kept my focus on small, concrete tasks. That's how you slow your pulse without anyone noticing. Later, by the folding table, she leaned close and whispered, "You really asked that? Cute." I watched the red light on her friend's phone recording another clip, filed that detail where I keep useful things. The sun slid behind the fence and the host turned on string lights. We left early to beat traffic that didn't exist. In the car, she scrolled through stories. "People loved it," she said, grinning at her screen. I kept my eyes on the road and both hands steady. When the light hit red, I saw our reflection in the windshield. Her smiling at a phone, me staring dead ahead. Clean split. Not a fight, not even a conversation, just two different shows running on opposite channels. At home, she packed a small suitcase and announced a girl's trip like a weather report. 1 week. Lake house. No drama. Don't wait up. I asked one question. Plans made, or still being made? She rolled her eyes. "We're adults. We don't ask permission." Then she laughed again and filmed an outfit preview for the group chat. I carried nothing to the door. No chase. I set her charger on the entry table because leaving a charger behind becomes a reason to come back, and I didn't need reasons built for me by other people. She kissed the air in my direction and clattered down the stairs. Taillights, then quiet. In the quiet you hear everything. The fridge hum you usually tune out. The neighbor's muffled TV. The message under her line from the party. The one even she didn't hear. It wasn't about freedom. A script reads well until it meets a room that refuses to clap. I did a lap through the house. The little things tell you more than the big ones. A half-folded sweater on a chair. A perfume spritz still hanging in the bedroom. 2 glasses in the sink, even though she said she only had one. I'm not a detective. I'm a man who pays attention when a pattern repeats its headline in bright letters. I didn't slam drawers or pace. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my notebook, and wrote a single line. Respect is the first bill due. Under it I wrote a second. She doesn't know yet, and when she finds out, it will hurt. The pen dug a shallow groove in the paper. I closed the cover and put the notebook away. When my phone buzzed, it wasn't her. It was a calendar block I'd set weeks ago, a reminder about a meeting across town on Monday. I read it twice and let the corner of my mouth lift. Timing is a strange teacher. You work for years in one place, build your calls, hit your numbers, and then, when no one's watching, the door you've been nudging opens with no squeak at all. Some news walks, some news runs. This kind runs. I slept well. No rage. Just space where noise used to be. In the morning I made coffee and checked the group photos from last night. There I was, background blur, holding a plate while she performed for the lens. Her caption read, "Freedom Weekend pregame." Hearts and fire emojis below it from people who only exist on her phone. Before noon she texted from the road. "Signal will be spotty. Don't blow up my phone." I answered with a single thumbs up. Silence isn't passive. Sometimes it's a decision with edges. She followed with a photo of a dock, blue water, rented smiles. Her friend posted the video by evening. The toast, her line, my question, her comeback, the crowd. Comments poured in. Some cheered. Some asked for the recipe to the jalapeno burgers. One of her co-workers wrote, OMG dead. I watched it once with sound and once without. Without sound. The frame told a different story. She on a picnic bench, standing a little higher than everyone else, me grounded by a steel lid and flame. One person in that clip needed the audience. It wasn't me. Night settled over the house in clean layers. I set the alarm early and laid out a suit, not my usual Monday coat, but the one I reserve for rooms that require precision. Habit matters. Show up right, and the rest follows. I put my phone face down and let the room go dark. She sent one more text before midnight. Don't be weird while I'm gone. You always get clingy when I travel. The word clingy made me smile because it was fiction said with confidence. I typed and erased, then typed what I meant. Enjoy your week. No hook. Just a clean line. If you want to know when a marriage shifts, it's not when someone yells. It's the night you stop translating disrespect into jokes and start treating it as data. Last night gave me all the data I needed. The laugh track told me where the fault line runs. The word boss isn't a joke to me. It's a boundary. It's a question with an answer that just rewrote itself. She will swim and drink and post sunsets with captions about freedom. Her friends will clap. The dock will look golden in the last light. That's fine. She earned her week. So did I? She doesn't know yet, and I won't be the one to explain it early. Explanations pamper egos. Truth doesn't. On the counter, next to the fridge hum and the steady blink of the coffee maker, my notebook sat where I left it. I opened to the line I'd written and added one more. When the laugh fades, the bill arrives. I underlined it once. Then I closed the book and went to bed with the kind of calm I used to envy in other men. Monday would be busy. The door was already open. Monday began quiet. Coffee, fitted suit, clear head. By 8 I was downtown behind frosted glass. At 9 the boardroom doors opened. The ceremony was minimal. 2 signatures, 3 handshakes, 1 embargoed release queued for noon. Legal, compliance, HR, back to back. We walked conflict policies line by line. Disclosures, recusal, delegated authority. If I sit at the top, the rules get tighter. I signed the disclosures and recused from anything touching her file. Another signature handed authority on those items to a VP with 0 social overlap. Paper trails matter when emotions don't. At 12 o'clock, the alerts hit the world. Financial media, industry trackers, push notifications with my name under a logo everyone recognizes. Somewhere at a lake house, a group refreshed their feeds and saw the headline. I kept reading operational notes. Her text arrived at 12:07. I just saw the news. A second pinged, "Are you serious?" Then a call. "That's why I asked you what would change if I were your boss," I said. She gave a smaller version of Saturday's laugh. Cute. "So this is real?" "It is." Wind hissed through her mic. "Then now everything will work out for the better." "Of course," I said. "Not for us. For me." Silence. Then the cell. "Don't be petty. We're a power couple now." "We are not a couple, and I don't do performances." I ended the call and opened the next meeting. With counsel, I drafted first moves, notice of separation, temporary arrangements, a clean logistics plan. Precision is kinder than scenes. I signed and sent. HR returned with compliance to implement the recusal path I'd set an hour earlier. Remove my direct visibility, route any decision through the delegated VP, and standardize everything else. When policy is followed, names don't matter. By 2, the internal announcement reached all teams. My calendar filled with welcomes. She saw the banner in corporate chat before I did. A friend forwarded a screenshot. Her text followed. "Congrats. Let's reset. Champagne when I'm back." My reply: "We don't reset. We finalize. Be reasonable. People are watching. Don't make this weird." People watched on Saturday. I'm making this clear. Security pinged me at 3:30. Recusal noted, delegated action complete, access audits underway. If an employee changes status, credentials change with them. HR sent the standard notification to her personal email. Effective today, severance and options detailed. Point of contact not named me. That is how it should be. At 4, my phone lit up again. "My chats just disappeared," she said. "I can't get into the drive." "What did you do?" "Check your email." The line went quiet. then dead. 5 brought press follow-ups and a photo with the leadership team. We stood in the atrium under the logo I used to pass as a customer. I thought about the years that led here and the rule that got me through them. Deliver quietly, then move when the opening appears. Later, I walked the perimeter with security. Overnight plan, morning cadence, audit windows. We passed a framed line about standards. It read like a contract with myself. Set them, keep them. At 7 she called again, skipping hello. How could you fire me? You erased me from my job because I embarrassed you at a cookout. I erased nothing. I signed the decisions I'm allowed to sign and recused from what I'm not. Read the letter. It was executed by the right people, the right way. She didn't want process. Answer me. I signed not only the document ending your role, I said, but the divorce papers as well. Quiet. Then a storm. You're throwing away years over a line with friends? I'm closing a chapter that has no respect in it. You performed for a crowd and called it love. I'm done performing. This will wreck your image. They'll say you dumped your wife the day you took the job. They can say anything. The documents say what happened, when it happened, and why. She shifted to numbers. I built projects. I have equity vesting. You can't touch that. I didn't. Your letter spells out vesting and exit options. It's fair, and it's signed by the right people. Then why tell me it was you? So you stop pretending this is a misunderstanding. The anger drained, and something smaller tried to speak. Can we talk in person when I'm back? You'll talk to counsel. I'll talk to counsel. Then pick up with a witness. That's the talk. She hung up mid-breath. The black screen felt lighter. I finished notes, sent tomorrow's schedule to legal, and texted a neighbor to confirm presence for the pickup window next week. In a different life, I would have explained myself for paragraphs. Tonight, one truth was enough. Boundaries are the floor a man stands on. Driving home, the city ran clean grids under a clear sky. I thought back to the patio and the question I asked without raising my voice. What would change if I were your boss? The answer was simple. The audience changed. The room changed. The rules stopped being props. Respect returned to the only person I control, me. At 10 she texted, I'll come by tonight. We can settle this without lawyers. A minute later, be an adult. I sent 2 messages. First, the pickup slot and the address of a storage unit with her boxes. Second, I asked that question for a reason. Then I silenced the thread. At home, I set my keys on the counter and glanced at the lock-steady LED. A door isn't a stage. It opens for those who treat it with care and stays shut for those who don't. Tomorrow holds interviews, strategy calls, signatures. Her trip holds docs, drinks, and a circle that feeds on noise. Both paths can exist. They no longer intersect. That's the response. No scene, no apology offered to an audience that never earned a ticket. Just action recorded in ink. Before I left the conference floor, I sat with the ethics officer. We walked through the timeline again. Disclosure yesterday, formal recusal this morning, written delegation filed in the system, outside counsel copied. No shortcuts or favors. The point wasn't punishment, it was separation. When roles change, boundaries harden, so the whole machine stays clean. I agreed to an audit of my first 90 days. Put it in writing, I said. They did. The first message after I told her about the papers was guilt dressed as concern. You're destroying us over a joke. I didn't break rhythm. I forwarded the pickup window, the storage address, and the counsel contact again. Facts are the only language that doesn't bend. I logged the call and returned to tomorrow's briefings. By morning, guilt shifted to charm. A photo from the lake, a caption about missing what we have, then a memory from our honeymoon. I muted the thread. My reply went through counsel. All communication about property and timing goes through this address. Cutting the audience out of her show took most of the oxygen. When charm failed, blame came fast. You punished me because I embarrassed you. I answered with a screenshot of her toast and the timestamp from the post that followed. She wrote back paragraphs. I sent one line. Saturday wasn't a misunderstanding. It was data. She left me on read, then pushed the story to friends. People who had cheered the patio joke now had to process the fallout. She showed up at HQ the next day. Security emailed me a short report. She'd asked to see me. She'd been told I was in a meeting and that access requires a visitor's badge. She declined and raised her voice. They offered to call HR. She left. I never saw her. Recusal isn't a slogan. It's a route around trouble. I finished the meeting and signed a vendor contract. Her group chat kept buzzing. Screenshots found their way back to me through people who prefer order. The same faces that filmed her one-liners sent her cautious text bubbles now. Take a breath. Talk to a lawyer. Don't go to his office. When the crowd senses risk, it shifts to the edges. HR finalized her exit packet. Severance, options, and COBRA spelled out clearly. No surprises. She wrote to me privately that night. You could have warned me. I typed. Saturday was the warning. Then deleted it and sent nothing. Pickup day arrived 3 mornings later. I had the neighbor stand by as witness. Boxes were staged in the hall, labeled by room. I'd set a 90-minute window. My phone sat on the counter in Do Not Disturb. The timer faced me. Logistics are calmer when clocks are present. She entered at 9:02 with sunglasses and a trembling jaw. She tried to hug me. I stepped back and pointed to the list taped to the first box. Clothes, toiletries, personal files. Anything else goes through counsel. She said we should try again. I said I had tried when I asked that question at the grill, and she turned it into a joke. She looked at the neighbor, at the timer, at the boxes. The point landed where speeches never could. 10 minutes in, she tried nostalgia. She held up a photo from our first apartment. I nodded and slid a padded envelope across the island. Photos are digitized. Originals go with counsel for scanning and distribution. Control isn't loud, it's organized. 20 minutes later, seduction arrived in a different form. She said we could be a stronger brand together. Power couple, the old phrase. I poured water and let silence stretch. Partnership isn't a costume you throw on after a bad weekend. You build it or you don't. She went back to folding clothes. At 40 minutes, she tried pity. I don't have anywhere to go. I wrote the storage address on a sticky note and noted the hotel 2 blocks from her office where corporate rates apply. You have options, I said. Use them. The neighbor kept time. Her last play was anger. You fired me because I wouldn't bow to you. I kept my voice level. Your exit followed policy. I signed what I'm allowed, delegated what I'm not, and documented everything. If you believe otherwise, your counsel will know what to do. Anger, when met with clean procedure, folds in on itself. An hour in, she found the ring in a small velvet box near the keys. She opened it and closed it twice. This means nothing to you. It meant everything until it didn't. I placed the box into a larger envelope addressed to the firm. Chain of custody, I said. She wandered the living room once more, touching books and frames, searching my face for a story she could use later. I repeated the boundaries once, then went quiet. The timer beeped. The neighbor cleared his throat. We stacked the last 2 boxes into her trunk, and I held the door without ceremony. Crowds are loud at parties and quiet at endings. That evening, a post appeared on her page. A long note about lessons and growth, and 2 people on different paths. Comments rolled in with hearts. I read the first lines and closed the app. Apologies to cameras are still performances. If you can't look a person in the eye and name what you did, the sentence doesn't count. 2 days later, she called during lunch and tried negotiation. Pause the divorce. We can draft rules. I already drafted rules. The first one is respect. You opted out. She said I was unforgiving. I said I was finished. She said people change. I said documents do, but not because someone promises from a moving car. She hung up. I walked the block, reset my head, and returned to the work I'm paid to do. News of that patio video circulated inside the company for a week in narrower circles than she hoped. It wasn't a scandal. It was context. Most people watched once and moved on. Every time the clip floated near me, I chose not to click. That was part of the consequence, too. One more scene. She tried to enter the building with an old badge she'd never returned. Security notified me again, and again I said nothing to her. They followed protocol, logged it, and mailed the badge to HR. No escalation, just the weight of process. That's what ends games. Paper, clocks, and doors that open only for the right people. My phone stayed quiet after that. Friends chose sides without announcements. The ones who value peace stayed. The ones who value noise drifted. I replaced their names with calendar blocks and deadlifts. What did I feel when the trunk closed and the hallway went still? Relief, and then nothing. Nothing gives you space to pour your life back into the places that return it. The consequence wasn't suffering delivered to her door. It was me stepping out of the audience and back into my own life, while she searched for claps that no longer arrive. By the end of the week, she texted one more sentence. I wish you'd told me sooner where your line was. I scrolled back months and found 3 examples where I had. We don't hear what we mock. I left her on read. Some lessons don't fit in replies. The morning after the boxes left, the house felt honest. No fragile quiet waiting to explode. I made eggs, answered 3 emails. The ring went into the firm envelope the way any asset is handled, logged, sealed, out of reach. Work absorbed the rest. Day 2 in the role brought a product review. Day 5, a budget argument. Day 7, a visit to the regional office where I started 12 years ago. I shook hands with a receptionist who remembered my first badge photo and smiled at the distance between then and now. The job is clear when you strip away vanity. Decide, write it down, own it in public. A man without drama can move fast. She reached out through counsel twice that week. First to float a talk for closure. Second to ask for a pause. Both got the same response from my side. Follow the process. We're on track. There was no anger in it. Anger would have been energy spent on a role that was already closed. I keep energy for the things that return it. Friends took the hint from how short I kept my explanations. A handful came by on Saturday with takeout and 2 heavy jokes. We ate on the patio where the laugh happened. We didn't give the story a new crowd. They asked what was next for the company, what I expected in the first 100 days, whether I was still training for the half marathon. The only time I thought of her that week was practical. HR needed forwarding info for her final paperwork. Legal needed a line item confirmed. I did both without comment. The ending didn't turn me into a bitter lecture about women or marriage. She made choices. I set boundaries. We landed where those paths lead. When you take away the noise, it reads simple. She posted a soft focus apology on her page. 3 paragraphs about lessons, a hashtag about growth, a list of feelings. People wrote that they were proud of her. I didn't respond. Social media eats apologies the way oceans eat stones. I care about signatures and calendars. The rest is wind. One evening, a mutual friend asked whether I would ever consider working it out. I poured water and told him the truth. There is nothing to work out when respect leaves. You can revive desire. You can solve logistics. You cannot outsource respect to therapy or time. That answer ended the conversation without heat. Week 2, the lawyer emailed finalized terms for temporary support, property, schedules. I approved what was fair and cut what wasn't. We set the hearing date. I signed with the same pen I used on day 1 as CEO. The symmetry wasn't lost on me. 2 contracts in 1 week, both about responsibility. She tried one more time outside the process. After work, she was waiting near the garage entrance, arms folded, a look that used to get me to stop and explain myself. Security had already clocked her and stood quietly to the side. I paused just long enough to say the one sentence that still mattered. Respect isn't a negotiation. Then I kept walking. The door sealed behind me. They escorted her out without a scene. She didn't scream or cry. She just looked small in a place she once wanted to own. I would be lying if I said the house never felt empty. Some evenings the quiet is longer than I want. I handle it without self-pity. I call my brother, go lift, visit my godson, plan the quarter. Men tell themselves they can carry anything. The trick is choosing what's worth the wait. A life filled with people who speak plainly is worth it. A life spent repairing a mask isn't. By week 3, the clip from the party had stopped circulating. Offices move on. The world is busy. The only person still living inside that video was the one who built her identity around it. I saw a photo through a friend of a friend, her on a different dock with fewer women, no caption. I wrote guidelines for myself on a yellow legal pad and taped them inside my closet. 1 line per rule. Speak briefly. Act early. Don't fund disrespect. Keep receipts. Don't attend shows you didn't buy tickets for. Night no one. I read it before I put on my tie in the morning and when I hang it up at night. There's freedom in keeping promises to yourself. People warned me there would be a pull to explain, to justify, to go on panels or write a think piece. I won't. I'm not the spokesperson for every man who's been mocked for standing still while someone performs rebellion in front of an audience. I'm the man who changed his locks, signed his name, and went to work on time. That's enough. The hearing came and went without spectacle. 2 signatures, a judge who had seen it all, a stamp. She wore gray, nodded through her side's remarks, kept her eyes on the table. When it was done, we stood on opposite sides of a hall with polished floors and said nothing. That was the most honest minute we shared in a year. 2 adults with a result. Afterward, I walked 3 blocks and bought a plain coffee. No toast to freedom. I went back to the office and finished a supplier contract that will save millions by winter. A magazine asked for a profile. I said they could sit in on a product review and quote the notes exactly. Same rule at home. I won't pretend I learned some cosmic secret about relationships. I learned one ordinary lesson very well. A man is either living by the standards he says he has, or he is auditioning for approval. I don't audition. If someone wants a show, there are theaters for that. My house is not one of them. She has paths available. She can build again, in another place, without the crowd narrating her moves. I hope she does. I'm not the obstacle. That refusal is what she felt when the key stopped turning. It wasn't rage. It was the end of a subsidy she stopped appreciating years ago. The last item in the process came on a Tuesday. A confirmation email about the final division, an attachment of the stamped decree, a note from counsel wishing us both well. I filed it in a folder named Closed. Then I washed the coffee mug I use at work and took the stairs down 2 flights. The next meeting needed a decision, and I was the one who had to make it. I can say this without performance or edge. My life is better because I stopped tolerating the parts that blurred my reflection. The job didn't fix that. The job demanded it. Leadership isn't a title. It's choosing the hard boundary and living with the quiet that follows. I'll take the quiet. If respect knocks again one day, it will enter through the front door at a reasonable hour, with steady eyes and an understanding of the cost. Until then, I'll keep the lock simple, the schedule full, and the rules clear. The man I am fits in this house. The echo is gone. The laugh track is gone. What's left is the steady sound of a life that doesn't beg to be clapped for. Respect isn't a topic for debate. It's the price of entry.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.